How are you, friends? Welcome to the Garden Guys with Bobby Jensen and yours truly, BT, here on the Alive and Social Network. Bobby J.
How are you today?
I'm feeling good, my friend. A lot of good rain out there. It's feeling good on the garden side of the world.
It's spring.
It is springy.
And
indeed.
spring is sprunging.
Are you sprung? Are you feeling very sprung?
I'm sprung.
Are you sprung?
I'm sprung already.
Oh, the grammar police are going to be after this show right away for crying out loud. Joel Karsten is here as well. He's the straw bale gardening guy. Good to have you on the show, Joel.
Good to
see
be here,
you, man.
Good to be here.
Thanks for joining us today.
I think it's big time, Joel Carson.
It's big time, Joel
Big time,
Karsten.
Joel Carson. The number one gardening book on Amazon.
This is a pretty cool deal for you. This book is called Straw Bale Gardens, the breakthrough method for growing vegetables anywhere with no weeding. Did I get it all right?
You got it all covered.
I nailed it all out there.
Covered.
And
Title
it's
and
second edition.
subtitle.
Second edition.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
It's working out okay.
Yeah.
How many countries are you in now?
I have no idea. It's been translated into, I don't know, many languages at this point.
That's
I
just
can't keep track
crazy.
anymore.
And I hired him when he was like 15 or something like that.
Where was that? When you first
Yeah,
were
when
in
Lindale
town?
Garden-
Lindale
Yeah,
Garden
Lindale
Center.
Garden Center?
Yeah.
I was 18, I think.
You were
Yeah.
18? You look 15.
He, believe it or not, I've known him for more than half my life. He's known me for a tenth of his life.
Something like
Do the
that.
math.
Ba-doom boom. Ba-doom boom. Were you a garden kid? Is that what attracted you?
I was a
to,
farm
you know-
kid.
Yeah,
I
okay.
grew up on a farm.
Okay, where was that? Where
Crop and dairy farm down by Worthington.
All right.
Yeah, little town called Bigelow, south of Worthington. Nobody's ever heard of Bigelow.
No,
so,
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, my rallies are from the opposite direction, but that whole farm ethic is, obviously a big part of Minnesota. So that you made it to the big city, so to speak, and you still had that in your
I
roots.
came here to go to college. almost 30 years ago.
Are we going
now.
to do the math on you now? Is that what you're doing?
30 years ago, and I'm still here. So there you go.
What did you study in college, Joel?
Horticulture.
Okay, so that was hand in glove for you then. Yeah.
Yeah, but farming kind of stuff, right?
Well, yeah, there's a ag track as well,
Right.
but I was more the horticulture, nursery and landscape management track. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Too bad that didn't work out for you.
Well, let's get the skinny here. What kind of an employee was he all
He
those
was
years
great.
ago? Yeah.
I don't remember. That was a long time ago. I don't remember.
He was fresh off the boat from New Jersey, so he didn't know Minnesota plants very well back then.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
The young kid just coming out of horticulture school.
Had
I
more
had to-
knowledge there.
Well,
huh?
I had to, brush him up on the species.
Okay.
Right, because
Yeah.
we
He was
had
familiar with those.
From New Jersey. We had a lot of plants. From Minnesota, we only had a few plants.
I
that you
got
could
He was
try.
trying to sell everybody holly, and it's not
Right,
hardy here.
holly, rhododendrons,
Yeah,
right,
rhododendrons.
Not gonna work
azaleas
here.
that
Yeah.
bloom.
Wrong zone.
Yeah, none of that.
Wrong zone.
But
and Bobby,
I've
apparently
learned.
you knew the names, what people called them, but you gave him the whole genus,
Yeah,
species, the
right.
whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, let's not even go there.
No,
Seriously, no,
Don't-
really.
don't
He
make-
didn't really- he's talking good now, but forget about it.
Don't make me talk Latin
Right.
now, please.
Right.
Don't
It's
let.
not
don't,
even Latin.
Don't make me
I
do
think
it.
he's making this up personally. I don't remember.
He's taking us on a tangent right
Right.
away. Maybe I did that.
Yes.
I think I did that. Well, it's good to have you here, man.
It's good
real
to be
pleasure.
here.
We want you involved in the conversation. We're going to talk to you about straw bale gardening, the book, the success of the book, other projects that you've got coming up. But as we get into some groovy stuff here with Bobby and BT, chime in, be a part of this. That's what it's all about here on the Alive and Social Network and the Garden Guys.
I want to talk tomatoes.
You want to talk maters
I
first?
want to talk tomatoes.
You're one
And
of-
it's time. It's the middle of the month. I still don't plant mine for a couple of weeks, but it's getting close, man. And, there's so many good things that you can do with the tomatoes. There's so many different types of tomatoes.
First off, yeah.
Yeah, and, heirloom to me is like
I always
best.
tell people, if you've never tasted an heirloom tomato, it's because you've never grown one.
There you
Right.
go.
Nobody gives away their heirloom tomatoes, and you can't buy them. They don't transport. They have such thin skins.
Yeah.
They don't transport well, so
they don't even look
yeah.
pretty either. half of
A
them,
lot of times they don't, but
You
they
know,
sure
that's the
taste
part
good.
I like about
But
them.
they're
that-
flavorful.
yeah, they're extremely flavorful, and the look doesn't bother me. I like that part of it. That sort of it's got an old school look.
Well, I think it's a real look. I mean,
Yeah, it's
what
real.
we get
Yeah,
now is,
yeah.
it's perfectly round and fits in a
Right.
crate, and then it ripens almost on the way there. They put it in pink, and it comes out red on the way from California.
Yeah.
It tastes
And
like a tennis ball.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly
no
right.
flavor at all.
No flavor.
No flavor at all.
What people don't understand is a tomato doesn't do anything till the ground warms up. And this spring specifically, temperatures have been warm, but the soil is really not following suit per se.
So we're a little behind is what
right,
you're saying,
so you
yeah?
put it in and it's still not doing anything. It just sits there. That's why I wait until the first of June, put it in the ground then, and even if you put yours in ahead of mine will catch up and blow right past yours.
And not in a straw bale. Mine will go blow away past yours. I plant mine in the beginning of May.
Yeah, well, it's because you're above
Because
ground.
it's the bale thing.
Because it's hot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's warm.
Well,
inside.
it's composting constantly, so
Yeah.
it's hot in there.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
you don't have to bend over.
usually when the lilacs are in bloom, which is right now,
Yeah.
usually your soil temps are about 50 degrees.
51, 52.
Yeah, and it takes tomatoes got to get to 68 degrees soil before anything's going to happen.
Before
they just
they're
sit
gonna
there
go-
and shiver
Yeah,
until
you
68
can
degrees.
put them in, but then nothing's
Yeah.
going to happen.
No,
Not
and they even
much,
get a
no.
little red color. They just you actually retard them more than you do.
Well, that was my next
grow them.
question. Yeah, if you put them in when it's cold, does it really slow it down, or does it
Yeah,
do detrimental things? It can.
You can risk, disease development and things on leaves that stay damp and don't dry out. Early on, you can end up with fungal disease already on your plant. So
You don't want that. No, of course not. But how about the straw bale? So, like you said, early part of May, it's already getting up to that 60-something degree temperature.
Oh yeah. A lot of times by the time you plant, it goes through the bale goes through the conditioning process. It gets really warm, 130, 140 degrees, and then cools off. So it could be anywhere from 100 down to 80 degrees inside that bale when you plant right at the beginning of May. And at night you cover up you put a little tent over the top so you can cover up the tomato so it doesn't get too cold air temperatures.
Yeah.
But the soil, the media temperature where the roots are is nice and toasty.
It's they like it. Yeah.
They like it. They think it's the middle of June already, so they're going
Well,
like
their
this.
feet do, but not their heads.
Yeah. So like, do you put some stakes in there, like you said, and form a tent so that you're, obviously giving the little plants their
it's
little bit
just
of
a
room?
little
and-
plastic cover
Yep.
that pulls over the
Yeah.
top. It's real simple.
Yeah. Now that you brought it up, and let's keep on the tomato groove. The whole conditioning of the bale here. So I'm interested in how that process begins. You get the bale out there early,
Right.
And there's some prep that goes into that.
Right. Yeah, well,
Conditioning, or-
conditioning is really, when you break it down to the basics, what we're doing is we're feeding bacteria inside the bale.
Okay.
You can't see them. That's the part that's a lot of people, it's frustrating to people because
You
they can't
can't
look
see
at
bacteria?
No,
Of course not.
they're real tiny. So we're going to feed those bacteria what they like to eat, which is nitrogen and water, and they grow very quickly. They start to colonize the inside of the bale. You get a couple warm days, they fill up the whole inside of the bale. Now they start to eat the straw, and they turn the straw into brand new soil.
I got you. Now, are the bacteria already present there?
They're
or
already
do you-
there. Yeah.
Okay.
You just got to feed them.
All right. I see.
And then eat the straws properly. They break down the straw.
Yeah. They digest it, goes through their metabolism. Anything that's alive has a metabolism. It has to have a food source of some kind. So it's just breaking down the walls of the plant. If you put the roots of a tomato right next to a chunk of straw, it can't absorb anything. Straw first has to go through that decomposition process, that natural process. Once the cells are broken down, that's what all soil comes from.
What is it? Composting, pretty
That's really
much.
composting.
It's really
is what's
composting.
happening. Just a convenient compost pile that's already pre-squeezed, pre-compressed together, that bale of straw. So it's really what it is.
And really, you've already got a compact, more or less, gardening space
Exactly.
because of the straw bale. Yeah. So how long does that take? So you get that straw bale out there as soon as the snow is done, or what do you do
Well,
there?
you started I tell people usually 20 days before your average last frost date. So it depends on where you're at. If you're in Houston, Texas, that's a whole different story than in Minnesota. But I have people all over the world that do it, from the Arctic Circle up in Alaska and Norway down to subtropical climates in Dominican Republic. And you start your bales 20 days before your last frost, or when you would normally
or if
plant.
you have one at all.
Because I don't think the
some parts of
Dominican
world.
Republic gets a lot of frost.
Yeah, not a lot.
No, but even like in Houston, they do get occasional, very cold, even frost, and you can't plant your seeds till the soil warms up. And so they have the same problem we do.
Yeah.
They want to plant early so their plants don't burn up in July. They got to be harvested already. We're just chasing the fall up here because so far north, but. So essentially you get started 20 days before, and if you're doing it organically, it takes a little bit longer to prep the bales or condition them. But if you're doing regular refined fertilizer, which is just a source of nitrogen like lawn fertilizer, those bales are cooking in 12 days. You're ready
How
to
about
plant
that?
it.
Quickly?
Yeah, it doesn't take very long.
Well, because lawn fertilizer has a high number.
High
It's
number of
probably
nitrogen,
36 nitrogen, something like that.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
it's
what
really going to
bacteria
feed a lot
are.
of stuff into that bacteria quickly.
Yep.
Bacteria will replicate themselves. They'll duplicate their numbers, their volume, every 15 minutes when given the right conditions. So you go from a few 100 million to a few 100 billion bacteria inside that bale very quickly.
Wow, that's amazing. And then it just churns away and
Yeah,
it starts
to eat it.
breaking down those cell walls and
now you make
the
brand
walls
new
of
soil.
the straw itself. Yeah, because that's stiff, obviously. People know straw.
Yep.
And you gotta soften that up and make it soil. Okay.
Right.
You're making soil.
Yeah,
That's
you're
what you're really
composting.
doing.
Really what's happening inside there. And then you don't have any leftover disease from last year's garden. You don't have any leftover insects from last year's garden. You don't have any weed seeds. you have brand new soil that's nice and sterile. So,
Yeah, and that heat is what is helping to make that
Right.
happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fascinating thing.
It's pretty simple, really, when you think
Yeah,
about
it
it.
is, yeah.
But it does work really well over and over every
Well, it's,
spring.
it's like the heating that goes into your compost pile itself. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and you
Well,
turn
yeah, the
that.
center of
and-
the compost pile is probably up to 190.
yeah,
I don't know if
Somewhere
you
in
guys
that
have ever
neighborhood.
read about this, but they're actually some of these do-it-yourselfer, I guess you'd call them survivalist types, that will build a compost pile and then they put pipe inside of it, and the compost gets hot and they
Yeah.
run water through the pipes, and that's how they heat their house.
There you go. Yep.
A compost pile heater.
You
can Google
I
it.
seem
yeah.
to recall that. Yeah.
Go to the Google.
Yeah, when I'm at no taxes and we're on our own.com. Right. Yeah, I've seen that. I've definitely when I'm visiting northern Idaho, we don't want
Right.
to be a part of the USA anymore.
Off of the grid.
.org.
You wanna be off of the grid.
.org.
Secede now.
You and Jesse Ventura.
.biz. Yeah, and Jesse. Do you have to worry about putting those tomato plants in when it's too hot? I mean, you stick
yeah.
a thermometer in there, and
Yeah, it's
kinda
got to be
gauge-
under 105.
All right, so you reach a point, and then you're good to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always tell people, stick your hand in there. If
All
it
right.
feels hot on your hand, it's probably too hot. 'Cause you should be about 98.6 if you're healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
So if it feels hot, it's too hot for a tomato. If it feels cool or tepid, skin temperature or lower, go ahead and plant.
And you're ready to rock. Oh, that's just fascinating. And you can do it just with one bale. You don't have to do a whole bunch.
Oh,
you can
yeah.
do just
I
one. Yeah.
have one lady in Tennessee that does 7,500 bales, but then I have lots of people that do one bale
One or
on their
two,
patio.
yeah.
So when you plant your tomato, you know, if you look at all those little bumps on your tomato, tomato's a vine. It's not really wanting to be grown upright. So all those little bumps. So if when you get your tomato plant, if you take the leaves off all the way up to the last couple of leaves and plant it deep, those little bumps will grow roots.
Ah, okay.
And everybody knows if you got a good root system, you're going to have a good plant. And that plant will actually catch up and surpass the other plants down the
Man,
line.
I learn something new every day when I'm with you, gents. Learn
that?
something new every day.
See
and
that?
all the time that we've done segments like this, whether it's on radio shows or whatever, maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention.
No, I don't believe that. Come on.
What? No, you know what? I've always,
All right, no, here's another one.
You take I take the plant out of the thing, I put it in the soil, and I keep a good eye on it and water it and that. But you know what?
No, plant 'em
clip,
deep.
clip, and then plant
'em
that
deep.
whole stem in
And-
there. I love that.
And they
Never knew
love
that.
magnesium.
Okay.
They love tomatoes. It's sweeter. It's a better fruit. Now, you can go out and get like magnesium sulfate in a garden center for like $10 a bag. Or you can go to your pharmacy and you could get, why did I just forget what it is?
Epsom salts.
Thank
Epsom
you,
salts,
Joseph.
yeah, magnesium
You
salts,
can get
yeah.
Epsom salts, which is the same thing, and then water your plant with it when it's in bloom.
Now, how much of that would you use?
A
then?
couple
I mean,
tablespoons in a gallon.
in a gallon. Okay,
That's
yeah,
all
'cause
you need
like
to
anything,
do.
you don't want to do too much.
No,
but
well, you can't really hurt it.
Okay.
You really can't hurt
All
it.
right.
But it does make the fruit better, sweeter, just better than your neighbor's. man.
nice. Well,
Which
that's
is
what
the
we're
goal.
looking for.
Yeah, that's the goal.
No matter how ugly that heirloom might look. God, I love when they get all those carbuncles on.
Oh,
them,
yeah.
You know, and just those weird
and the
twists.
colors.
That has, yeah, and the
And the
colors.
colors.
The
yeah.
best is when
And
somebody
the
comes
names.
over and you serve them a black tomato.
Right,
They never had a
right.
real dark purple, almost black, and you make that caprese, you know, with the white.
Caprese.
Yeah.
Caprese. Well, sorry,
Caprese.
Well, yeah, Mr.
They
Italian.
say, hey, we got a Minnesota. We got the.
Oh yeah.
We put cottage cheese in our lasagna. You know what I mean?
Well, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, what? Yeah, I can
But
imagine.
yeah,
right.
I mean, you know, the black tomato and the green and the
Colors,
it's just
and
yeah,
the names.
it's
The names
it's
are great.
beautiful.
yeah.
My favorite one is the mortgage lifter. Well, a guy like in the 1930s
Okay,
was
going
selling
back a ways,
a
yeah.
tomato plant, and I've read where he said he was selling for $1. I don't really think that was
Back then,
possible
yeah,
back
that
then.
would be an
but he
expensive
paid
plant.
off his mortgage by producing these tomato plants.
So he developed this plant. yeah?
Well, I
Or-
don't know
or
if he
somebody-
developed.
okay,
he
but-
just kept the seeds from
Okay.
one good plant and kept doing it every year. Because you get to say, it's not hybridized. Hybridized, you don't get the same plant.
Right.
But from a heirloom tomato, you're going to get the same plant
Right.
over and
That's
over.
why it's an heirloom.
That's
Yeah,
why it's
yeah,
an heirloom.
Yeah, the genetic code keeps carrying on.
There you go.
What's a favorite of yours? Can you think of any names that you remember? or-
Cherokee purple.
Okay,
Cherokee
I like the
purple.
one you were kind of
Yeah.
like the one you're talking about.
That's
there.
a good one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
there's
I love-
so
there's
many
lots of them.
names, so many different names of heirlooms.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones out there.
And the good part is they're starting to get more and more other plants now that are heirloom, that are seeds saved from way back when. So it gets interesting. And yes, they do get a little bit more disease, and they need to be picked faster and stuff like that. But you can't beat the flavor.
It's unreal.
It's true.
They're becoming much more available too. You
Yeah,
see them.
you can see them in markets.
More and more farmers markets. More and more growers bringing them out there. So,
And I think there's a lot of growers that are now specifically growing them.
I tried one of those grafted tomatoes last year. Have you
I
ever
thought it
grown
was
one of those?
great. Did
Yeah,
you? Did you?
I did a brandy wine, a grafted brandy wine. Usually, a brandy wine for me will give me 24 to 30 tomatoes. This one had double. the
Insane.
tomatoes. It was unbelievable.
and Joel, what was it grafted to? Or
No, just
Yeah.
a common rootstock.
Yeah, okay.
Actually,
Common rootstock
actually, it's
that's
a
aggressive.
hybrid rootstock.
Probably
so
like
it gets
early
the
girl or
right. It gets the benefit of the hybrid, but the one I had a mortgage lifter on top of it, and they
Wow.
grafted that on. So now you're getting a heirloom tomato, which was probably twice the size, and like you said, Joel, 2-3 times the abundance. And the funny, crazy part is most of the world has been doing this for years.
the grafting thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
where they, their root system's bigger, they take less water, they don't need as much water, the root system's deeper. And the United States has, again, as always, lagged behind in grafted fruits and vegetables.
Well, part of it is it's a labor-intensive thing to graft those
Okay.
plants, and our labor here is too expensive. There's a lot of parts of the world where they can do it for less money because it's hand labor. It takes people to do it. So.
I have a friend in New Jersey that I told about, my friend Peter, who's a crazy tomato grower. He grafted a bunch himself. It's
not that difficult.
It's not that difficult, but it does take some
little
time
time- a little
and some
time consuming.
interest. But it is tomato time right now. We're
Yeah.
here.
And
We're
go
there.
and so go get them and
Go
get,
get 'em.
and get that straw bale
And you know what
started
else?
if you don't have it going already.
And the other time it is, it's butterfly time.
The monarchs. When did they come back?
Well, no, they're not coming back. But it's time to either
Oh, plant milkweeds.
plant milkweed seeds.
I
Well,
pulled so
can't-
many milkweeds out of bean
Yeah,
fields
no,
when I was
right,
a
I'm
kid.
sure.
Oh my God!
It's because of people like you that the monarchs are disappearing. But
My poor grandma's rolling over in her grave thinking we're planting
Oh, my
milkweeds.
beautiful monarch butterflies, Joel.
But the problem is, they have to stratify, which means they have to go through the winter.
Yeah.
Because they go through the winter and they cool down, and then when spring comes, the covering on the seed cover starts to break down. So if you plant the seeds now, and you got to buy seeds that are native. You can't buy. There's in your area, whatever area part of the country is, you have to find the native one because otherwise the monarchs don't go to it. So you have to stratify it, which means you put it in the ground now, it's just going to sit there until next year. Or you take it and you put it in a wet towel, napkin, put it in a wet napkin, close it up, seal it, and put it in a regular plastic bag.
All right.
And seal it, put it in your refrigerator for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Then you can plant it, and you'll probably get a small plant by the end of the year.
Right,
And
really?
next year,
Okay.
it'll even be better. Next year, it'll be insane.
Now, what's the paper towel plastic bag refrigerator thing doing? What's happening with that?
It's replicating the winter.
The winter, okay, yeah,
So
sure.
it's
Makes sense.
moisture,
Makes
and
sense.
it's what 34 degrees.
Yeah, cold stratification.
Okay.
Cold, moist stratification. But there's a lot of things going on now. I mean, things are changing out there. People talking more about pollinators, more about bees, more about all of those kind of things that I think we took for granted or didn't take for granted maybe, and just did things that didn't make any sense.
They're always going to be around. They're here now.
Yeah, there's always side effects of things that we do today that we don't realize, what's going to happen 10, 20 years down the road.
Yeah.
And, you reap what you sow. That's what they say.
I mean, I've been in this business 40 years, and some of the things that I remember back in the day, we'd spray greenhouses walking through them with our shorts on and spraying everything, and nobody
no masks on.
Nobody,
or nothing,
nobody
right?
thought of anything, And we've learned down the line that maybe that's not as good as we thought, or some of our practices. I mean, let's be realistic. We live in the Midwest, monoculture heaven out here. You see acres and acres of corn and acres of soybean, but then you go to Florida and it's all tomatoes.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of monoculture.
It's a different kind of monoculture, but nature isn't.
Strawberries or whatever it might be.
Nature isn't monoculture. Nature's always a mixture.
Yeah. Joel, are you seeing people? I mean, you see a lot of people in the straw bale world, obviously, that are planting a lot of different things, I would imagine, maybe out of the same bale. I mean, that's kind of part of the groove there.
Yeah, you can plant a lot of things in one bale.
But what I'm getting at by asking that question is, are you seeing more of that mentality that we need to get to a diverse culture when it comes to any kind of garden, or any just a way of thinking with people, or not?
I think when it comes to your own local, what you're growing for yourself, for your own use, It's really about what you like.
You grow what you like.
You grow what
Sure.
you eat.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I encourage people. I do run into people now and then. They'll say, "Oh, I just planted a whole bunch of different stuff because I wanted to see what would grow,
Yeah,
or
one
how
of
it would
this
do."
and one of that,
And I'm
right.
like, "Well, okay." And you certainly can do that. And then I suppose they give it away if they don't like it. But you hate to grow stuff and then not use it.
Of course,
not
yeah, you
utilize
want to eat it.
So,
Yeah.
most people don't think that far beyond
Sure.
their own backyard.
Yeah.
In
I guess
terms
I'm
of-
trying to, there's two different mindsets here. Obviously, there's the industrial agriculture business going on that, I'm just wondering if people are getting that thought process and
I
realizing
think
that
overall,
the problems are there.
I think overall in your garden and in your yard, yes.
Yeah.
And like Joel said, if you're going to grow a garden, you're going to grow stuff. I'm growing tomatoes and basil. That's what I grow. But I think overall in the garden, people are starting to think, the biggest monoculture out there is a lawn. It's
Yeah,
grass.
yeah,
That's it.
sure.
Boom. There's nothing there but grass. We kill everything that comes up that isn't grass in there. So I think people are starting to realize now that a little clover's not bad. A couple of dandelions aren't going to hurt anything.
It
So
isn't the end of the world.
Right.
I always get a kick out of that. You drive, especially around rural Minnesota,
Right.
rural area. You drive by these beautiful farm places, and they got 2 acres of lawn.
Right.
They don't have a soccer field out there. They don't have a baseball field that they're actually using it for something. Why in the world would you want to spend all weekend
Right.
on a lawnmower?
Even with a big riding
waste your
one,
time,
you're still going to
waste your
spend a
gas.
lot of time.
It is the most expensive and most labor-intensive crop you can grow.
You cut it 28 times this summer. That's what I
Right.
tell people.
That's right.
It takes a lot of time and effort to keep a beautiful lawn.
And to make it look that green and beautiful, then obviously those
It's
farms,
expensive.
they're putting a lot of product out there, or whatever the case may be.
So you do see with lawns that people are losing less and less lawns. They're taking them up. They're putting flower beds. They're putting perennials in. And perennials,
Prairie grasses.
Prairie
You want
grasses.
to create controversy in your neighborhood? Just put some prairie grass in your
Well,
lawn.
people are getting a little bit more acceptive of lawns that aren't pure
Yeah,
grass
yeah.
anymore.
Well, see, there's the thought process that I was getting at with my question to you. So, and I'm glad you're sort of reaffirming that just that general mindset of this can be different than what we thought,
Right.
for many years. That we can think differently, and that even if you're in South Minneapolis or Fridley or wherever it may be, and your neighbor puts something like that, and you can be more accepting of it now, and people are.
A lot of cities throughout the United States are allowing people to put stuff on the boulevard that before used to just be a little patch of grass.
Right.
Now people are putting flowers and edible vegetables and lots of things of using the land that's there for other than just grass.
Yeah, and usually it was worn out grass.
Yeah, it's horrible.
yeah, just
Whatever
terrible stuff.
salt tolerant is what grows there.
Yeah.
In this neck of the woods, there's no question
Well, I
about
think
it.
we're seeing a lot of cities that are then also saying it's okay to do that. I know there's a lot of city councils and what have you that are saying prairie is okay. Not all of them, but some are saying, and then to some extent, maybe not a complete deal, but also things like rain capture, down at the end of your
Rain
lawn.
gardens.
Rain gardens that, that never used to be allowed before. I mean, those are being accepted now. And the beekeeping thing, the backyard beekeeping thing.
Chickens.
The chickens thing in the backyard or what have you. A lot of that's happening.
I don't know if you watched the news recently, but the big proposal about having grass buffers basically between all farm fields
Oh,
and
yeah.
waterways.
That's been a big thing.
That's really a rain garden. I mean, that's really
Right.
what they're
Slows
on
it
a mass
down.
scale.
Right, it slows
Trying to
it
create
down.
rain gardens on a mass scale. I don't know how far it's going to get in the legislation, but it sure seems like a good idea.
But
Yeah.
when you think about it, it rains, comes off your roof, hits your driveway or your street or your gutter, runs down into the street, from the street into the sewer, from the sewer into the river, from the river down into the ocean. It doesn't land and last on our soils anymore.
Mm-hmm.
How much of our lands go on, Google Earth and take a look. You'll see nothing but roofs, driveways, and streets. And that's where the water, a good percentage of water hits, and it just goes away. It doesn't recharge our aquifers.
Yep.
And that, even though we live in the land of 10,000 lakes, I'm telling you what, our aquifers aren't getting filled like they used to. And that doesn't take a couple of years of good rain for it to happen again.
It takes thousands of years.
Eons, forever.
Yeah,
It's been there
absolutely.
forever. So, and it's really good. The difference, you could see the difference. And Joe and I have been in this industry a long time, and you can see the mindset change coming on with people. Used to be, curing the war with the world with chemicals. Well, it's not quite that way anymore. We're finding out that, Yeah, we did think we could control Mother Nature, but she kind of reared her ugly head and said, nah, I don't think so.
We can't do it. 30 years ago when you were studying horticulture at school, I bet you a lot of that was that mentality. That a little more chemical. I mean, certainly there was a lot of nature involved in the natural processes you learned, but there was maybe a nod that way more so than the students are learning now, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how the curricula has changed at this point, but I'm sure they're learning a lot about what we've done wrong over the years and, ways to avoid having to use it. Just keeping a good balance and using common sense. You don't, like Bobby said earlier, you don't have to get rid of every single dandelion. It's not, 100% isn't what we should strive for. Maybe strive for, 70% and be okay with it without having to resort to the harsh use of chemicals and the overuse of chemicals.
Right, and we would, instead of killing a batch or a little bit, we'd spray the whole yard with chemical.
The whole thing.
We'd hook up the hose to the bottle and go out there and spray every square inch. And maybe you only had 20% weeds, but you sprayed 100% to your lawn. And I think people are starting to get smarter about, I'm not anti-chemical, but I think you should use them smartly, follow the directions, only mix up as much as you need and use everything, put it where it's supposed to be. And I think that would help everybody all the time.
Well, and given what Joel gave us with a number a few minutes ago, 28 times you're mowing that thing anyhow. From the mowing day for about 3 days, it's looking pretty good, even if you've got dandelions. You're not going to see them. So, just let it be for the most part. Joel's website, strawbalegardens.com. Now, you've got a new thing you're working on. You mentioned as we got before we got the show started here that we got a rainy day as we're doing the Garden Guys today. But had it been more sunny, you might not have been able to join us because you were doing some video content stuff. So give us a little insight into this new initiative. What's going on?
With social media today, you have to keep providing content because these people are hungry for more information. So, we got a professional video production crew shooting soup to nuts from beginning to end this fall. Throughout the whole summer, we'll be shooting at a couple of different garden locations where yesterday I spent the whole day, actually walked up to a grass field and from right at the beginning showed how to lay it out, how to set it up, and got the bales all up and began the conditioning process so that eventually that will be part of a video series on our website.
On the website. Very cool. Now you're adding another layer to it too with a Straw Bale Gardens Club that
Straw
people
Bale
can
Garden
join
Club,
in.
That'll be something people can join, and it'll just be more extensive content and
You're going to have a song like the Mickey Mouse Club, the kind of deal?
we'll have to work on that. Come up with a good theme song.
STRAWGARDEN.
Wow, see, right away, we got it.
There you go. Musical genius.
I forgot the Bale part, though. I missed the Bale.
No, but Straw Garden. Straw Garden, it works better.
So this would be sort of a subscription thing then, Joel? I mean, once you get it up and running, a few bucks a month or $3-4 a month
we
or
have
whatever.
no idea where it's going to land. But, in order to create this professional video content, it costs money.
Well, sure it does.
And so, part of that will be a subscription website.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll hawk my books on the site
Of course.
and that kind of thing to help support it as well. But
Really?
It's really, how dare I sell books? But it's about getting more exposure to the concept, and the more good quality content you can provide that's, straightforward and understandable and not confusing or conflicting for people. You go out and search on the internet and you're going to get 50 different opinions from 50 different people, and probably none of them are exactly what you should be doing.
Exactly.
I mean, when Joel said the word concept, he took this little tiny concept that was out there and expanded into an industry. It's really pretty an amazing thing that he did. It was just, it's there and people kind of, straw bale gardening. But he took it from that, refined it, and brought it back to the masses, and has taught the whole, I was going to say the whole country, it's the whole world now of how to do this.
It's very true. Yeah, you should be praised for that. I'm praising you right now.
It's
pretty
interesting
cool.
when you go on, Facebook is such a worldwide thing now and we have literally, there's hundreds of groups, but we have the big Facebook page, Learn to Grow a Straw Bale Garden. And there's people that come on there just a couple days ago, some guy in Italy. And it's this beautiful picture, this whole hillside in Italy with the vineyards in the background. And there's rows and rows of straw bales. He's growing tomatoes in these straw bales over in Italy.
Of course he's growing tomatoes in
South
Italy.
Africa and, big garden in South Africa. They come and post pictures all over the world. It's just amazing.
That's nice. I've got an
And
idea.
just think, I gave him the idea that many years ago.
You
and I
gave
get-
me the idea,
And I
right?
get nothing, not even like
right.
$1 or something.
I got it already in my head what I'm going to do. Because, well, I had some hedges in front of my house that I lost a couple of seasons ago because we had the vortex and they weren't covered up, and so they're yanked out now. And I really put that hedge there because it was in front of some windows, split entry house, and I wanted some privacy there, and it was providing some of that privacy. And so now I can see it now. I'm going to straw bale it out front and get those conditioned and get the privacy because the bale will be sitting up a little
you go.
high, and then that's great. It's southern exposure, so we'll get the
Full
great
sun.
sun there,
Yep.
full sun there, and we're going to grow some tomatoes in those straw bales. I can see it
you go.
happening already.
What happens in the winter when you take the straw bales away?
Well, that's okay. We got the
Hope
shades.
for snow.
Pile of snow up
You
there.
pile the snow up
Hope
there.
for snow. Little snowmen in a row.
The shades are closed a little more than anyhow, so it's
There you
all
go.
right. Joel Karsten here with Bobby and BT on the Garden Guys. StrawbaleGardens.com, and Joel's book, again, second printing for you. Congratulations on that. Big seller on Amazon. Find it there and elsewhere. Straw Bale Gardens, the breakthrough method for growing vegetables anywhere with no weeding. And then we can look forward to Straw Bale Garden Club coming up pretty soon here too, right, Joel?
Yep.
Outstanding. Thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Good
Thanks,
to have
bud.
you indeed.
Good to see you.
You too, Bobby.
Bobby Jensen, we will see you next time on the Garden Guys.
I'm here.